What a great choice of music. I am delighted to join the Asian American Arts Foundation in pausing for a moment to say to persons in film, photography, persons who direct and write, and just perform, we believe that the message you are attempting to convey and deliver represents exactly what we should have in America. And where best is to do it than in San Francisco, California, the city of extraordinary diversity, a city who celebrates. The recipient of the Lifetime Achievement Award personifies all of those things. I first met Janice in the 60s, and at that time, I thought this wild, absolutely incredible person, who is she? A Japanese youngster who lived in the internment camps, a time when shame must be the only description brought to that time in our period in America. She moved from the internment camp, as did so many other Japanese Americans, back into the regular world. In the regular world, that spirit and that gene trait of social activism, she became what we call a radical for change, a person wishing to make a difference, a person desperate to make sure that all of us achieved a level of equality. But as she moved through her radical years, it became clear that she was gifted with an extraordinary talent, the ability to put together words and phrases in a rhythmic fashion. She became known almost quickly as a poet, continuing her commitment to her art and her craft, but the overwhelming demand that was upon her to be a community leader and the real social activist. She, of course, became the co-partner of Cecil Williams at Clyde, the most revered and respected organization of social change in the city and county of San Francisco. I think that her poetry best describes who she really is. Nothing is more fitting than to have one of her contemporaries in just a moment demonstrate in living fashion through the spoken word who this woman really is. Let me ask Genevieve Lee to do a piece from We, the Dangerous, a book written by Janice Mirikitani.
We, the Dangerous. I swore it would not devour me. I swore it would not humble me. I swore it would not break me. And they commanded we dwell in the desert. Our children be spawn of barbed wire and barracks. We, closer to the earth, squat, short-thighed, knowing the dust better. And they would have us make the garden, rake the grass to soothe their feet. We, akin to the jungle, plotting with the snake, tail shedding in civilized America. And they would have us skin their fish, deft hands like blades, sliding back flesh, bloodless. We, who awaken the river, ocean's child, whale eater. And they would have us strange-scented women, round-shouldered, strong and yellow, like the moon, to pull the thread to the cloth, to loosen their backs massaged in myth. We, who fill the secret bed, the sweatshops, the laundries. And they would dress us in napalm, skin shred to clothe the earth, bodies filling pock-marked fields, dead fish floating our harbors. We, the dangerous, dwelling in the ocean, akin to the jungle, close to the earth, Hiroshima, Vietnam, Tule Lake. And yet we were not devoured, and yet we were not humbled, and yet we are not broken.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is my great pleasure to present the Lifetime Achievement Award to our friend, poetess, social activist, community leader, Janice Mirikitani.
Thank you. And thank you, Mayor Brown, for that introduction. You know, what I appreciate about Mayor Brown is not only is he a great mayor, but he has been a supporter and an advocate for the arts and for our Asian communities for decades. So I look forward to 4 more years, Mr. Mayor. I want to thank the Asian Arts Foundation for this very, very meaningful award. Jeff Adachi, Saks Kitashima, and the memory of Sandra Sakata. You know, Jeff told me that I had 90 seconds to respond to this, but I think I may take 100 seconds, if you don't mind. It is, after all, once in a lifetime. What makes this award so meaningful is that it comes from home, from my own community. And I believe that we cannot forget from where we come. I congratulate my fellow honorees this evening and those pioneers in film and print and music. As artists and activists, you've helped to shape a culture in this schism between America and our homelands. You've taught us that we must celebrate our roots and that despite adversity, we have made ourselves stronger. As Asian Pacific Islander Americans and immigrants, we have had to define ourselves in America and correct those stereotypes that would attempt to minimize and to humanize us. We know the face of racism and the margins where we've had to dance. We create our own solid ground, and we stand there strongly. And there are those who have led us, enabled us to tell our own stories. So I am compelled to remember grandparents and parents who bear light, despite the walls of darkness of the Angel and Ellis Islands, and the walls of the barracks of internment camps, and the slave holes of railroad workers and farm workers, and plantation and cannery and sweatshop workers. They will not let us forget from where we come. When my mother broke her silence to testify about the camps that imprisoned us during World War II, her voice commanded that I break my silence and always fight and write against apathy and dominion. And I thank our community activists who have created a corridor of light from the first generations to the youth and the future generations, so we never lose sight of our connectedness. And of course, I thank my family, my extended one at Glide Church, and my husband, Cecil Williams, whose voice of compassion and justice has been a light for thousands, but especially for me, as I stumbled in my journey from self-rejection as a Japanese American woman to self-discovery. His love has helped me understand our essential connection to one another. Indeed, our lives are reflected, each of us to the other. And finally, I thank my daughter, who reminds me that we are in a circle of powerful women. From great to grandmother to you of this generation, I say, may you see your beauty reflected there in that golden ring of light. And may you continue to tell your stories, break the silences and the walls of glass and concrete that would oppress or limit you, and sing the melodies of your own life. Thank you, thank you.